As you heard there, the mayor is now demanding that ICE agents leave the city. This shooting happened just 4 blocks away, from where George Floyd was killed by police in 2020. CTV News U.S. political analyst Eric Ham is with us live now to unpack some of the potential consequences of this. Eric, it's good to see you, though I wish it were under different circumstances. A lot to unpack here. The video itself is certainly, difficult to digest, but the reaction from the mayor in particular, I think, is what stood out after the release of that video. The language that he employed, the force with which he felt it necessary to react to the presence of ICE agents in his city. What was going through your head as you saw that unfold during that press conference today?
It's striking because now, once again, Minneapolis, Minnesota is now the tip of the spear, as we are seeing with now one person dead from many of these ICE raids that have been taking place all across the country, specifically in Democratic-led cities. And we have seen the pushback, the resistance, the protests and demonstrations, but now we're seeing an individual that was actually gunned down on the streets. And now the response from the administration, along with the fervor that we're seeing there, this could be a potential powder keg, and it will be interesting to see how the administration actually responds after this shooting took place.
Yeah, so far they have been pretty resolute that this was, as I mentioned, as the Department of Homeland Security and Kristi Noem said, they insist that this is an act of self-defense. It's difficult to digest that when you watch the video, but that is, in fact, their defense. The last thing I saw from the White House was the press secretary putting up a post, basically like a picture saying, "I stand with ICE." Our viewers right now are looking at pictures from the scene today, and in particular what you referenced, the response from people in the city, the protests that are taking place. We heard from the governor urging citizens of Minnesota to keep it as peaceful as possible. But what is your sense of the degree to which this could be, become even more heated?
We've seen this story before, and I think this is going to get much worse, not better. And one of the reasons for that is because we know that there is a large Somali population there, and the administration has been vilifying that community for weeks now. And now with the death of this woman, I think what we're going to see is more demonstrations, more protests, but more unfortunately, I think more National Guard, more of a police presence, particularly from the federal response on the ground, which could make the situation even more combustible.
Yeah, do you see any signs of any kind of wavering of the position around the National Guard, or more specifically in this case, ICE, for example, the presence of ICE, the need for ICE that the administration keeps talking about? Do you see any wavering of that position in the near future?
Considering the fact that we just heard from Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Director, who actually said this was domestic terrorism, I think the answer is a resounding no, because, again, what we're seeing now is just more fanning of the flames, not necessarily a tamping down and trying to find calm or even a common ground. And I think this is going to just only fuel more of a military or police presence in more democratic cities, not less.
And just finally, if I could kind of circle back to where we started, it's those words from the mayor of Minneapolis, the language that he used. It has been interesting to watch a sort of lack of political pushback, even from Trump's opponents over the last number of months, as his, not just his rhetoric, but as his actions have scaled up. Do you foresee a change, like this could be emblematic of a change, a more pronounced change in the future?
That's a really good question, because we have seen Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois in the Midwest. We have seen the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Jackson, even Gavin Newsom in California, really pushing back on the National Guard and ICE in their communities, but nothing like what we saw from the mayor today. And it is, I think, an interesting question, particularly now that we're in a political climate with the midterm elections this year. You wonder if we're going to see more of that. One thing we know for sure, Minnesota does have a very liberal bent, and we know some of the lawmakers there do lean heavily Democratic. So I think they could actually follow the lead of the Minneapolis mayor and begin a process where they are pushing back. But are we going to see a massive response from Democrats? we have not seen it so far, and so I don't think it's going to be something that we will see other beyond the words that we've already seen from people, notably Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, leaders of both the respective House and Senate for the opposition.
Okay, I'll leave it on that note. Eric, thanks so much for your analysis tonight. Really appreciate it as always.